Hi everyone, and welcome back to your Real Conversation video lesson with me, your teacher Chris. It is great to see you again, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you can have video lessons with me every day and improve your ability to have a conversation and many other things because I have many other lessons available. So let's talk about today's topic. Today's topic is corruption. Interesting. But before we get started, I would like to say, what did you think of our surprise conversation test? It seems like many of my students enjoyed it. So what did you think? Leave me a comment down below. How did you feel about that surprise test? Did you do good? Was the conversation test difficult or easy? Let me know. Now, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. It's free, just like all of my lessons, and I help you when you leave comments under the videos. So lots of benefits to joining this channel. Also, like the video and share it with your friends in your groups and on WhatsApp and Facebook because they need some help too, and I would like to help them. Okay, now here's how the lesson works. I will ask you a question and give you some time to answer me. Then I will answer it myself. Now, excuse me, today the air in Korea is kind of dirty, so my voice is a little raspy. So I'm gonna drink a little bit of water every once in a while. And I want you to be sure to listen for the tone again. Because today's topic is corruption, listen to that sad tone. Listen for anger. Listen for disappointment. Listen to the pauses that I put in the way that I answer the questions at the end. Remember, tone, pauses, and speed really put a lot of emphasis on the things that you say. They change the meanings. So be careful and let's learn these things now. Sorry. Like I said, it's really dirty today. Question number 1. What kinds of corruption are there? And this is general, not just in your area. General corruption. What kinds of corruption are there? Corruption is surprisingly everywhere, and it's disappointing, right? Has corruption affected your life? It seems like corruption is in every country. No matter how rich or how poor it is, there's always somebody trying to get more than they deserve. Why do you think people are corrupt? Maybe. Now, do you think corruption can be a good thing? Kind of a weird question, I know, but actually, if you think about it, it's possible. How do you reduce corruption? It might work. What else could you do? Those could work. Which countries have a lot of corruption? It's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. What can you do about corruption in your country? It might work. That's a good answer. How do you remove these corrupt workers from their jobs? Getting the corruption out of places, especially, jobs, and getting rid of corrupt workers is something that needs to be done, but it's a difficult thing, but I think you have some good ideas. Now, I'm going to try and do my best to answer these questions. So, pay attention to my tone that I answer the questions. See if you can see how my tone changes, if it's a negative or if there's a positive, like there's a benefit, because one of these questions has a positive tone to it. So listen, okay? Really, really listen to my tones. What kind of corruption, what kinds of corruption are there? It seems like there's lots of different types of corruption. You have corruption in the workplace, whether it's just stealing money or other types of white collar type crimes. And then there's also the blue collar type crimes, where you actually have crime syndicates and organized crime and mafias and bosses and things like that. So there's lots of different types of corruption. There's also corruption that isn't necessarily someone's fault. It just happens because there are problems with the existing system. It's a kind of inadvertent corruption. Has corruption affected your life? Yes, I think if you haven't had any type of, negative impact from corruption, you are very lucky. Being American, corruption affects us every day, but yet many, many Americans don't realize it, because a lot of our politicians are actually corrupt in slight ways or in drastic ways. But the key thing here is that the vast majority of politicians that represent us are corrupt. So those corrupt ideals, those things that they do that are slightly corrupt or really corrupt, affect all of the people in America. So in a way, everyone has experienced corruption. Now, when I came to the Philippines, minor instances of corruption would be like the taxi driver charging me twice as much or 3 times as much because, I'm a traveler and I don't know any better. But I do. So things like that, little low-scale corruption or government huge corruption. It's all affected us, especially me. Why do you think people are corrupt? I don't think people are born evil. I don't think people are born to do bad things, but I think that something happens in their life where they're either forced to do the negative thing, become corrupt, or something accidental happened and they got away with it, and that led to the corruption. Whereas, 1, they had no choice, and 2, some accident happened and then they realized that, I can keep doing this. I can get away with it, and maybe I can get more. So greed brings in that extra corruption. Can corruption be a good thing? Yes, I think some types of corruption can be a good thing. Now imagine that your entire country, all of the politicians are corrupt, but you have one politician who really wants to help. They're corrupt against that corrupt government. Kind of weird, right? So they kind of help. Another form of corruption could be like a police officer or an official who will take a bribe and look the other way while you do something that's actually good for you or your family. Something like that, like an official taking a bribe and letting you escape to freedom. So that kind of corruption could be good. How do you reduce corruption? The only way to get rid of corruption is to reduce the incentive to be corrupt. And the thing is that's one of the negatives of society, is that whether it's a socialist society or a communist society or a capitalistic society, someone always wants more. So we would have to get rid of that desire, that greed to want more than you deserve or more than you've earned. And I have absolutely no idea how to do that, which is why corruption is something that is systemic, meaning it's just part of natural occurrences. It's a sad thing, right? But what can you do? How do you get rid of it? If you have a great answer, let me know. I'm curious about it. Which countries have a lot of corruption? Like I said, no country is immune to corruption. Corruption exists everywhere, but I feel like America has a very large amount of corruption, but it's hidden from the population because the way the systems are set up, we don't see the day-to-day interactions of our politicians. We don't know how truly corrupt they can be or are. And I think a lot of other countries have corruption on this scale too. I think every country suffers from it to an extent. You know, some are lesser than others, but I think sadly the vast majority of governments around the world are corrupt. People are self-serving in their role as a politician instead of serving the public, which is their job. What can you do about corruption in your country? I can do very little. I can vote. My vote has some meaning, and I can cast my vote for people I believe to be less corrupt. But the problem lies with their corruptibility, their ability to be corrupted. People have this ability in them, but it's only unlocked in certain situations. So I don't know if there is a way other than voting to get rid of corruption. It's a difficult thing. You know, it's a poison. It's a disease that's difficult to cure. How do you remove corrupt workers from their jobs? Well, I mean, once you've found out that someone's corrupt, you have to get rid of them. You fire them. You remove them from office and put them in jail. You give them very strong penalties to try and let other people know, don't do this because the punishment is very severe. And you make a point of showing how harshly you deal with corruption so that, you know, it dissuades the other people. They see this and say, ooh, I could do that, but I don't want to risk it. The risk is too high. Corruption is a difficult thing to talk about because how do you fix it? Now, my throat is so dry. The pollution, the air pollution is tearing me apart. So sorry about that. I'm trying really hard to be clear today. If you have answers to these, how to deal with corruption, I'm excited to know about it. Start a dialogue in the comments down below. Leave your answers and I will correct them, but also comment on the other comments. Talk to each other. Start a debate, a friendly debate, because you are all trying to learn English. So use this. This is a resource. Everyone at this level has decent English. Yeah, you all have good English. So use it with each other. Practice more. Practice with me. Practice with them. And practice this video again when you get your correct answers. But even without them, practice it again. Keep using your lessons from before, what you've learned from the past ones, to improve how quickly you catch key words in questions and answer them. I'll see you for our next lesson. Goodbye.